All right, welcome back to another episode of the Carbon Cardboard Podcast covering Formula One and the Formula One card hobby. I'm your host, Bryan, Q3 Cards, joined with my good friend Scott, the artist formerly known as the F1 Castle.
That's right. Now it's the P1 Castle.
Oof. Yeah, that's going to be a topic we have to explain because, I mean, hey, Scott, we have our own Formula One podcast. I don't know how many other Formula One podcasts are out there, but let's spread the word. Let's tell the good people about the name because there's a lot of downfalls, but also potentially some maybe good things to come from this. So we're going to talk about kind of like what happened and how everyone could kind of help to build your new account back up and the new name and whatnot. Fanatic Fest is this weekend in New York City. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'm a little bummed, Scott. I was hoping that I was going to be able to attend with you.
Yep.
As we were just talking before we hit the record button. My personal life and volunteer life right now is a complete catastrophe. So it just was not in the cards. So we're going to cover that a little bit. Some hits from the new P1 Castle. And finally, and I've had a lot of people reaching out to me today, Scott, after I posted some of this stuff on Instagram. I want to talk a little bit about my own personal experiment with tag grading. And they're kind of an up and coming company. And we've talked about in the past, like I do submissions for, some people. I do it on the side. I wish I could make it my full-time thing, but it's just, again, not in the cards. Mm-hmm. And before I would offer it to anybody else, I wanted to kind of give it the paces myself. And I'll talk about kind of the experiment that I did and, maybe there's a new P1 for both of us. I don't know if they're going to overtake PSA for me, but that was in the business, we call that a segue. And my gosh, Scott, like if you haven't heard, let's just start from what happened. I mean, you're on vacation.
Yep,
and
on a cruise.
And if I had a nickel, Scott, for the amount of times that I got messages from people saying, where's Scott? What happened to Scott? It wasn't, how are you, Bryan? It's like, where's Scott? If I had a nickel for every time somebody asked what happened to your account, I'd probably have like $1. But I mean, what complete pandemonium, and for the one place that you are on a cruise where you can't really do much about, like what happened to your Scott?
Yeah, so it was tough. Basically, we're on a cruise. We were there, I think, got in, Sunday and ended up leaving on Thursday. So it's Thursday morning, and I wake up and I get an email and it just says your account has been suspended for 180 days. You can appeal, etc. I was like, what? So I go to try to log in on Instagram, just open up Instagram on my phone. And sure enough, it's not showing up with my right account. And it basically tells me I have to appeal. And that's the only option. It's just appeal. I can't see my account at all. I can't get in, see any of my posts or any of the reels or anything I posted. So basically just have to hit that and then kind of wait and see what's going on. And so I look into it a bit and everything. And it's Meta uses this new AI that scans for intellectual property, etc. So that's what I thought it was at first, actually. I thought it was okay, so they saw F1 Castle in my logo, my old logo, not even the name itself, and it flagged it. I was like, oh, that's really unfortunate. And so figure, okay, maybe I can appeal it and be listen, I cover Formula One cards and, business around Formula One cards. So it's F1 cards. It's not I'm, part of F1 and I don't, presume to be or pretend to be. So then I get a call from Fanatics who basically tells me that they had a conversation with Formula One, because obviously they've got the deal with Formula One for the cards and everything. So they're having conversations. And so they had a conversation with them, and Formula One, it sounds like, I don't know if it was, Formula One Group, Liberty Media, whoever, the lawyers over there, intellectual property folks, reached out to Meta, and like Instagram, kind of Facebook thing, to have it taken down. So I don't know if this was again, if it was them scanning and they saw F1 in the name and the logo, or if the collab with Logan Sargent was seen by a lot of people and everything. So who knows? But either way, it was taken down, and I didn't get any prior notice. Right. Supposedly they had said they'd sent letters. I never received any letters in the mail. I don't know where they mailed them to, but it certainly wasn't to my house or my business address. So I didn't receive anything, and then all of a sudden it shut down. And what I would have loved to have gotten is the opportunity from Meta, to say, hey, this has been flagged for, IP, whatever. You have to you have to rebrand, change your name, change your logo, like I'm doing now. And then delete any of the content that has it and repost it, whatever. And I would have done that. It would have been fine. And then I could have kept, my following and everything. Instead, I've just had radio silence from Meta. I've sent multiple emails. So who knows? I don't know if I'll get it back. I've had some people reach out to me saying, they could potentially help, with that. And so, some folks are working on if it can happen. But in the meantime, I can't just not do anything, right? I can't just sit and wait and hope I get my account back. So I've had to just move forward as if I'm not going to. And if I do at some point, that's great. And I'll figure out what I'm going to do, whether I upload the content that I'm making now or whatever. But I don't know if that's going to happen. So I had to make the new account. It's P1 Castle. So instead of F1 Castle, it's P1 Castle on Instagram. And YouTube, same thing, P1 Castle instead of F1 Castle. On Fanatics Live, P1 Castle instead of F1 Castle. Everywhere, P1 Castle instead of F1 Castle. So if you got an F, just do the loop and make it a P, and P1 Castle. There you go. But yeah, so that's the story of kind of how it happened and why it happened. And now, yeah, I'm trying to connect. It's been tough because I've been doing so many things. We just got back from vacation. So it's, I haven't had time to reach out to everybody who is following me and stuff so. We'll get there, but yeah, it'll take a little time for sure.
Ooh, yeah, what a bummer. This might sound weird. I kind of like the new name better. It just,
I mean, hey,
it pays, before. So anybody that might be new to our show and whatnot, prior to being the F1 Castle, you were Pirates Card Castle. So
right.
kind of
until
brings
the beginning of this year, really.
Yeah, so it brings back a little bit of the Pyrite. P1 being the winner of the race, winner of qualifying, tops, fastest in qualifying, pole position. Yeah. You've got P1, I've got Q3. We're just locking down.
There you go. Yeah,
exactly. I know. I somebody jokingly in one of your lives is better watch out. Q3. I know Audi's coming into the space as well, and maybe does that apply to the quad? To be honest, I actually looked into it a little bit. I don't think I have anything to worry about. And if I did, it's all one word. So, I mean, right. Q3, I mean, come on. It's quarter 3 earnings. It's,
I think if you were selling Audis, then you might have an issue. And that's where I think I had the issue is I'm selling Formula One cards, right? I do breaks, I do whatever. So ultimately, I think if other people, a lot of people have asked me, oh my God, I have F1 in my name, and I'm like, you'll be fine. F1, other people, F1 Ben, a lot of people have F1 in their names. That's not going to be an issue because they're not, marketing it as a business to sell items, right? Which is what it is. This is my full-time business. So the P1 Castle now is my full-time business. So, I think everyone will be okay.
We hope.
But don't sell any Audis, Bryan, because then they'll come for you. They're going to come for you. But I will say now there's an opportunity. If we do a collab, Bryan, someone could be P1 in Q3. And that's pole position right there. If you're P1 in Q3, you're on pole.
I like it.
But yeah, Julian. So the new logo, right? The new logo you can see is not much changed, right? It's P1 Castle because obviously the castle that we made as part of the logo with like the checkered flag and everything to kind of bring it tied into racing like that. Obviously, none of this has anything to do with Formula One or its copyright or whatever. So literally, it was just the F1. So now it's P1, and here we are.
I'm still so sorry, my friend. I mean, of all the things that could have, I mean,
Definitely sucks.
at the highest of highs, with the Logan Sargent break and everything. And it's just, you would think that people are like able to make the connection like, oh, hey, this a new account, but yeah, hopefully
Just
you caught all the other
thing.
Yeah.
Right. You got to start picking up the algorithm and everything.
Yeah. Because everybody that kept looking for, if you type like F1 into Instagram and F1C and you're looking for, and it wasn't coming up. I think a lot of people were like, it wasn't even like, where is Scott? It's like, what happened to him? Is he like, all right? Is he still doing this stuff? And man, that would be a sad day for the hobby indeed. You mentioned it before we switch gears to talking about Fanatic Fest. Just one last thing about that. Shout out to AJ on Instagram today. Had one of your older stickers on his work helmet, and he put the P instead of the F.
There you go.
So it's catching on.
Yeah, Scott actually posted like one of the cards I hit him from the national break and put it on his story, and so I shared to my story, and I put like a little P over the F on his F1 Castle stand that he had the card on. So yeah, I'm actually doing that. Like I have a bunch of promotional material that I was going to bring to Fanatic Fest, which we'll talk about in a moment, and now I've got to change it all with like a permanent marker because there's no time to print everything.
Happier topic. Let's talk Fanatics Fest.
Yeah.
So this is, as far as I know, the first time that they're doing this. I mean, this is like the last, I don't know if it's been like the last year or so, but I mean, Fanatics is really throwing themselves sideways into the hobby, with the acquiring tops, and they've been a big part of not just Formula One with the tops move and stuff. I mean, a lot of the merchandising stuff, if you order stuff from the F1 store, comes from Fanatics. By the way, Fanatics, I just ordered some McLaren stuff from you. I ordered an extra large jacket, and you guys sent me a kid size extra large jacket. Thankfully, the return process wasn't too bad, but I'm just like, come on. I held it up and I'm like, this wouldn't even fit my son. Like, this is... Anyways, but I digress. So the first time, New York City, the Jarvis Center, looks pretty awesome. Formula One will have a presence there because of you, but I mean, a lot of other stuff, all sports, big names, like they're just, it seems like, Scott, they're just throwing everything and everyone at this to, as we don't mention it much on this show, but like, 10x the hobby, like get casual card, sports fans to collect.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I love it, right? Because I think like you think of like, when I go to races and stuff and I bring cards and I give out cards for free and packs to folks and everything, like that's kind of what I'm trying to do, right? Is turn fans into collectors. So ultimately, that's what they're trying to do. And I feel like, so this is the first ever, right? Fanatics Fest, by the way, it's August 16th to 18th. So this, if you're listening to this, before then, it's this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Javits Center in New York City. And what they're really doing is more so than like the national, which we just did, right? Which is just a huge card show. There's some other like memorabilia and stuff there, but like that's what it is. And they have some signings of athletes, but it's not like necessarily geared towards like that. Like the focus is on the cards primarily. Whereas at Fanatics Fest, it's kind of twofold. It is similar to like a Comic-Con type event, right? If you've ever been to one like that, right? It's all the shows you used to watch when you were kids and stuff like that, and like people from those shows. So, in place of that, now we have the athletes from the sports that you watch and love, right? So there's gonna be a ton of activations for football, hockey, baseball, and basketball, tons of athletes, superstars, Hall of Famers, everything. And there's gonna be a lot of stuff going on. So, and like Michael Rubin's been on doing like the, you know, advertising tour, promo tour, going on all the shows and everything, talking about it. One of the things he says is he knows how to throw a party, right? Because obviously the white party and everything like that. But, this is kind of what we wanted and what I've wanted, right? Ever since Fanatics got involved. And one of the reasons I went to Fanatics Live, right? And one of the reasons I just did collab with Logan Sargent is because like I want to bring collectors and athletes and specifically for us Formula One drivers together, right, in some semblance, right? Like we're collecting the cards of all of these guys, and maybe someday girls as well, but and in other sports everyone's collecting, right? And to meet those people that you collect is, I feel like, is just so cool. So trying to make that happen is awesome. So yeah, it'll be like a card show but also like an entertainment type venue. I'm obviously going to be representing Formula One. I'm booth 2718, 2718. And it's kind of set up like loosely, like they're putting, there's a football area, right? Like where they're going to have football activations. You can run the 40-yard dash and like things like that. They're going to have all this stuff set up. And they're putting people who are selling and buying and selling primarily football in that area. Right. And then they're doing the same with like basketball and hockey and soccer and everything. Right. So I think it's going to be kind of grouped up. Right. So I don't know if there's other people who are primarily bringing Formula One or not. I'm sure that I know they're trying to, at least when I had talked to them, like I was one of, people they were talking to. So I don't know who else is coming. Hopefully there's going to be some other great F1 vendors there, but I'll at least be there, right? Buying and selling and everything. I already talked to a bunch of different people that are going to be coming to the show that said they'd come swing by. So I'll be bringing basically everything, right? Like I'm going to bring slabs. I'll have like a couple boxes of like dollar boxes, and it's going to be a ton of, parallels from 2023, 2022, 2021 stuff. Or maybe some 2020 base cards will be in there. And then I'll have like $5 boxes that are either just like a little bit better parallels or some better portraits or something from 2020. And then I'll have a bunch of priced out singles, tons of slabs. Like we have 6 cases. They give you 6 cases worth. I'm going to fill all of those. Like absolutely. I'm trying to whittle down what I'm bringing, more so than the other way around. So tons of slabs. And then of course I am going to have wax. So I'm bringing, some 2020 chrome, if anyone wants to buy any. And also bringing in some, probably going to do a break. I think nothing like insane. We've gone through like literally in the last week, even with the new account in the last week, we've done 3 cases of 2020 Chrome.
Wow.
So it's been pretty insane. But we're going to do another case at Fanatics Fest. Roman's actually going to be there in person, so he's going to be doing some Percy's and stuff, and then I'm going to run 4-box break. So I'll do a 4-box break for Fanatics Fest, maybe do some 2023, but then we'll also have 2023 Chrome for sale, single boxes, cases, etc. So we'll have wax, we'll have singles, and we'll have slabs. So yeah, we're going to definitely make sure there's a F1 presence at least at our booth. And we'll also, be buying stuff as well. So if you're looking to sell anything, come in and we can chat. Would love to see as many people as possible. So hopefully we see a lot of folks, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Sounds awesome. I'm now you just talking to you more about it. I'm like, oh, really wish I could have made it, but like I said, life is crazy at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
All right. A couple more things. We'll try to keep this on the shorter side. We both, I've been away, you've been away. We're in the middle of summer break. Next weekend, we're returning to Zandvoort. Crazy to say that, but we are back. And then there's another like mini fall break again, which true. Nobody's really talking about except we just did. Let's talk new biggest hits in the P1 Castle. I can't remember who in one of your lives was like, well, Q3 is going to have to figure out how to do the intro again because he barely got it down for.
You've been crushing it. You've been crushing it.
We'll see. I feel like I'm starting from square one again on those. So
yeah, but you've said P1 every time, and I feel like it's a good.
It just maybe rolls off the tongue a little bit better.
There you go.
So speaking of the P1 Castle and new tagline, only in the P1 Castle. Keep pushing. Hashtag. Right. That's hashtags the young kids are saying these days, or used to say 10 years ago. All right, walk us through what we're seeing on screen here for those listening on audio form.
Yeah, so the first ever break we did with the new name, right, with the rebranded P1 Castle, was when I was on vacation. This time I was in the Poconos. But we did 3 cases of 2023 Chrome. First ever break, first ever time going live on this account. So actually the hits, and there was 6 of them that I kind of outlined from this. The hits do get like a little icon we put in the bottom right. It says first break 2024 P1. So these will be the only tiles or hit icons on my page that will have that little icon down there. So pretty cool, but it was awesome. And, it was like first time in the P1 Castle Mojo, because I have pulled, over 20 superfractors from 2023 Chrome. At this point, we've ripped an insane amount of cases, over 200, but I have never pulled a superfractor F1 armor through that entire time. Pulled plenty of reds, never a superfractor. And we pulled our first, and I'm pretty sure it was the best one that was available. So we hit the Danny Rick Superfractor F1 armor, and like there's only a handful of them left, and like all the big ones are out. Like I think this is literally the one that was the largest that was left. So, and it's crazy because I've already helped facilitate a sale on this card actually. P1 premium consignment soon to come. Gotta wait to post that up, but basically this was $100 slot and turned into thousands of dollars. So that was pretty legendary. But yeah, so Chris Medvey, he's actually local to me. He lives like 15 minutes away. So I was going to be delivering this card in person, but now we're just going to go out and get a drink together because he made a ton of money off Danny Rick slot. So yeah, it was pretty fun. But yeah, so that was the biggest hit for sure. One of the biggest hits I've had this year, but just because I love the F1 armor. Literally, it is my favorite parallel from the set. So super cool to have hit that. But yeah, so that was the biggest one. Then we also,
these might be out of order. Sorry, Scott.
No, you're good, because we also did a 4-box break of 2020, and we did some little personals and stuff. And so we hit a Toto Wolff printing plate auto. We actually unfortunately had one of those cases that you can get from early on, from like the first wave, where there's no autos. And it's like a lot of extra parallels, usually extra 70ths, like the gold, orange, or red 70ths. But in the case, we did manage to hit an auto because it was a printing plate auto. Actually, the cyan printing plate auto of Toto Wolff from 2020. We hit that for cardboard hitters. And then, yeah, just go through them. And then, so then we're back 2023. We got the Lando Norris Gold Wave auto for MN Purple Kevin. That's like the 3rd Gold Wave Lando auto I've hit him, but that was awesome to hit. We also got the ART Red Wave logo from 2020 for F1 Ben, actually, who was on the all other F2 spot in that break. And then we got the Lewis Hamilton 2023 orange Turn Up the Lights out of we opened 3 cases. They were all good. All of the 2023 Chrome cases were good, which is great. We had F1 driver autos in all 3, and we had multiple parallels. The Lewis Hamilton going to squirrels on the orange Turn Up the Lights was awesome to see. And then you just go through. Then back in 2020, Dave's Cards, who hit the Sergio Perez Superfractor auto earlier in the year, hit a red 70th Mercedes Formula 1 team, the Lewis 7-time world champion team card, red 70th, which is super, super short print of 4. So that was massive for Dave out of 2020. And then we got the 2023 Charles Leclerc gold Turn Up the Lights for Zippo Sports, who's got an epic Ferrari collection, man. There's so many epic Ferrari collectors. Like, Ferrari is just a brand that transcends everything. right? Like I feel like
Mhm.
there's people that PC certain drivers, but like no one there's no other team that gets like PC just in general, like Ferrari. So yeah, really cool hit there. And then actually, this is a funny one: 2023 Chrome Gold Wave Auto of Pierre Gasly, and this was for D-Jock sports cards. And actually, it was a spot that was gifted by Hit City Cards. So Hit City Shane, he was at F1 Trade Night. He's been in the F1 hobby for a long time. And I think it was actually his boss. I think he gifted it to him. He bought it for him, and then he hit Gold Wave Pierre Gasly auto. So that was super cool. First time in the P1 Castle Mojo. And then back to 2020, we hit, like I said, we hit the Toto printing plate before. We hit another printing plate. This was I think it's the Cyan printing plate for the Williams FW43 World on Wheels card. And you can tell I've seen a million of those cards because this printing plate doesn't even show that it's titled the FW43, but I know that it is because I've opened this card a million times.
And you're just that good.
Yeah, I just have nothing but Formula One cards and Formula One in my memory. Just ask my wife. I forget everything else. But then 2023 for Dave's cards, once again, we hit a red checker Max Verstappen. What was this? This is driver of the day in Belgium. So out of 5, red checker for Dave's cards on the max slot. And then I think this might be the last one, but this is certainly the biggest, outside of maybe the Danny Rick super auto. But so we hit Julian Cardboard Hitters, a red wave out of 5 Max Verstappen car from 2020. And this is beautiful. And it's a perfect match to his red wave portrait that we hit him earlier in the year. So yeah, awesome to see. So, and there's
one more printing plate.
Last one, and this is I think this is again for Dave's cards on Percy's. He got a cyan printing plate portrait from 2020 of Alexander Albon. An interesting fact about 2020, and I think it makes 2020 printing plates better than any other year's printing plate, is that they don't reverse them. On all the other printing plates, it's all reversed. So like if you have a name or like the image, everything is like flopped, kind of like if you have your phone and you like, face it back towards you. But in 2020, it's not, which is really cool. So it looks better as part of like a rainbow type thing or part of like a single card collection, I think. But yeah, so tons of big hits, even though we've only been, the P1 Castle for technically a week. It's still been pretty awesome. But yeah, so like I said, we've got 4 boxes of 2020 Chrome coming up for Fanatic Fest, and then probably run some more 2023 Chrome. Gotta keep it hot. We just hit a Super Factor F1 Armor. Gotta stay hot in the P1 Castle.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to finish the show talking about tag grading, technical authentication, and grading. They're new on the scene. I do think they've graded about like 100,000 cards now. So, they've been around at least a little bit. PSA grades that in like 3 days. So they have ways to go to catch on. But one of the things that drew to me was their computerized like AI grading based on images, where the human element of kind of opinion and judgment is kind of taken out. And Scott, you and I are both data heads, statisticians, and also just looking for consistency. And, this isn't trying to like unseat PSA by any means. I mean, if you have a big card, you send it to PSA. I mean, no questions asked.
If you're looking for resale value, right?
Resale value, yes.
Yeah.
I've tried a lot of different, grading companies over the last couple of years, as I've gotten into Formula One cards, and before I would offer it up to somebody else, I'm going to check it out myself and kind of experiment, see what it's all about. Not to say that I like pre-grade cards, but I'd have a pretty good idea of what something would get. I mean, sometimes I'm completely baffled by something I missed. I am human and not a computer after all. SGC, I've tried CGC, obviously PSA. Haven't really done much of Beckett just because I'm just not really a big fan. But recently, I had a big stack of cards, mostly and probably from the P1 Castle. See, I am getting it. I'm not
Got it.
gonna, no Freudian slips there. And I was just like, you know what? Especially with 2023, especially with cards like what you just mentioned, Scott, with like F1 armor, like they're not gonna gem. The backs of the
No.
cards aren't great. You know, it's a dark border. You can see some whitening on the corners. PSA is not cheap. And, you know, PSA does upcharges. I'm not here to try to slam PSA in any way or slander them, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to give Tag a try. There's some Formula One collectors that have kind of embraced them. Bullish Keanu, I've seen Reaper's Reps who just changed their
Reaper's Reps,
name.
yep.
And it's Cosmos
I
cards
gotta
or
find
something
him
now.
again.
Yeah, well, he just changed his
Oh,
name, so it's same account. But you know, I started posting some stuff about my 60 card experiment on Instagram, and I got a lot of people reaching out to me like, you know, Q3 Bryan, thanks for doing this. Like, I've been waiting for somebody to kind of give them a shot and like, you know, show what the cards are all about, because like everyone's like, well, can you trust the grades? It's no, a person's not doing it. How are they going about that? So it's like, all right, let's give it a shot. So I have some photos on screen. Obviously, this just showed up today. 20 cards in each box, and presentation is great. And I will actually say, as somebody that submits cards myself, the fact that when you go, you essentially prepay for your grading, which is a little weird, but they send you a kit in the mail for you to then send it back to them. So it went from California across the country to New Hampshire. I put all the cards that I prepped. I send them back to California to Tag headquarters. And at $15 a card and a 10-day turnaround time, here I am. Boom. I've got these cards back in hand. One of the cool things is when you open this up, I mean, their boxes and presentations are great. It's almost like opening a pack, even though you know what's inside there.
Yeah.
They put a wax wrapper around each slab. And that's one thing that some grading companies have struggled with, is in translation, shipping carts back, you can get the cards to kind of like, they'll rub together and like you'll get scratches on the slabs and stuff. That's one way to combat that. Again, presentation great. Here's one of the air quotes packs. Here's an example. Scott, to be honest, when I see people posting the photos of this, I always thought like the slab background was like black, like kind of like an SGC. Nope, completely clear.
Right.
Obviously, this card didn't grade as well. I have a red refractor of Imola 2021, which is, again, I've talked about on the podcast, one of the first races I watched. I wanted a really cool card. When I bought this raw on eBay, I noticed that there was a huge indent on the back. I knew that I send this to Tag. I'm like, okay, are they going to catch this or not? Is this going to get like a gem and it really shouldn't? Nope, they caught it, marked everything about it. And one of the cool things about these is you've seen like their the grading report, the transparency is phenomenal. Even on like the mid tier versus like the higher tier, you can get like a 3-digit score. The detail in the cards, they're taking pictures of all the different corners. It's just great. Here's another example. You know, one thing that they won't do is they won't grade autographs. So you can still send an autograph card on screen here. I have an Antonio Giovinazzi reserve driver card here. Gem Mint 10 was the score on this. They didn't grade the auto. To be quite frank, I'm not getting in a soapbox on this, but I think grading autos is kind of stupid anyways. So I just want the card graded. So here, this worked out.
Like I feel like, you know, especially for a company that's getting started, and like focusing on grading, like adding in like auto authentication verification like processes and everything, it'd be a nightmare for them to start doing that. So
they will only take cards that are certified by a Topps, a Panini, or something like that. Right, exactly. And obviously, even on the card, it says Topps certified autograph issue. Yep. So here's an example of Oscar Piastri. Shout out to G Myers, who I bought this card off eBay on. He goes, sorry, you didn't get a 10 on this one. But again, these just look amazing. It highlights the card. The card is the star of the show, not the slab. There's a QR code that you can scan on each one of these. And here's an example. I sent 2 identical cards, Max Verstappen Mini Diamonds 2022 was the first year they did. Little trivia fact: the first time they introduced that parallel in Chrome. I wanted to see, how they compared. One got a Gem Mint 10, which I expected. It was a cross from actually a BGS 9.5. And the 8.5, actually, I think I got this in a break with Golden Pulls, slightly off center, not exactly 50-50. It's probably more like 55-45. Also had a little bit of a surface issue. They caught everything. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
There you go.
Again, you always see, I try not to share any of the photos of, so one of the cool things that Tag does is they'll do their own slab imaging. So I always thought, I'm like, man, these guys are awesome at photography. Like they're getting the mirror effect down on the bottom. Tag's doing all that stuff. So I wanted to show like what it'll actually look like in hand. In hand, I mean, here's a Constructor's Crest Ferrari card, Red Bull. Again, these aren't Gem Mint 10 cards, but they're graded, they're protected now. And just in a really great looking slab. Again, as somebody that does this, here's my Constructor Crest.
Oh, nice. The full set.
The full set. So shout out to the Castle. Shout out to Rated Rips. I got a couple of these from him. Some of them raw on eBay. But again, this was never going to Gem Mint 10 at PSA.
Right.
And I just did the whole set here. Scores ranging from 8 to a 9, some 8.5s. I'm good with that. They look phenomenal. They look great. I don't know. I this is kind of like a rapid fire thing, but after getting a lot of messages about this, taking a long time to think about this, I really do think, Scott, I'm going to give them a go. For some PC cards going forward. Mm-hmm. You can't beat the price. The slab's really good. As somebody that preps cards all the time, I feel even just with these 40 cards that I just got back today, I feel very confident in their process. And I did not think I would say that. I'd assumed that they were going to miss like a bunch of stuff. Like, maybe I was going to get some things that were a 10 that I knew weren't a 10. Like I purposely sent stuff that I knew wasn't all Gem Mint 10s. I did get a few in the order, but I really wanted to put it through its paces. I think I might be willing to offer it up to people if they wanted to give them a go. I know I've talked to a few people that I work with. They're very intrigued. So it's just really cool.
Yeah, no, I think they're cool. I mean, I personally, I also love the score, and that you get to, if you do pay for that, or just getting to see it, right? PSA just added grader notes, which is fine, but like
they're awful.
That
you get a little 2-word,
right?
Oh, you get like a 2-word response, like back corner, or like it's you thought you would be getting something. Like they have a long way to go to compete with what Tag's doing here.
Well, right, because Tag, they're giving you an image like of every corner. It's like a thermal image or something, right? Like that super zoomed in, like of every corner, and you're seeing the surface, and it's showing where the blemishes are. And it's probably fun to be like, oh yeah, you can see that right in the card. So I mean, it shows what the card actually is. Like you said, PSA, other companies, like a lot of it comes down to like, it's human judgment. And humans are fallible, right? We can make errors, and sometimes stuff will sneak by, or sometimes stuff maybe even gets downgraded. But at a company like Tag, it's going to be graded what the card is, right? So, and like you said, also the card becomes like the star of the show. Like it's a very low key slab. It protects your card. It's nice and crystal clear. So, the card does stay front and center. So yeah, I think it's a really cool, alternative to PSA, like especially for PC items, because unfortunately we do live in a world where PSA is always going to get top dollar. So if you have stuff, right, that you're looking to sell that's like higher end or something like that, like PSA is obviously the way to go. But yeah, I mean, I might even try slabbing up some stuff in Tag. I think like especially getting like a set of something would be cool to do, like a rainbow or like portrait set or something like that would be a great option for Tag for me personally. So yeah, well, let's see.
It just seems like it's more of like to your point, like a more of a set builder type thing. It's more affordable. and especially when you're set building or collecting a rainbow, like it's near impossible to get all gem mint 10s for everything. Especially as soon as you're one of one, your pad or your superfractor doesn't get a 10, like it's impossible.
That's what I'm terrified about with the 2021 Max Sapphire, because I have everything else in a gem mint 10. And so if that pad gets hit and it's not, that is going to suck.
I kind of hope you don't send that to me if you do get it, though, because I would feel so much pressure to get it at 10.
Well, you've gotten all the other ones 10, so it's coming to you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the trust for sure. So, all right. Wow. What a show. Kind of, I guess, our first show, technically, with repping the P1 castle, but it just works. Sure. P1, Q3. I don't want to underscore. I know we've kind of made a little bit of humor and jokes about it, but I mean, it is anything that people can do to, to follow your new account at P1 Castle on all different platforms. Greatly appreciate it. We want to make sure that Scott's not missing a beat. I'm pretty sure the people that break with you often didn't struggle to find you, but like you said, growing the hobby is an important thing. Getting new people in, collecting, getting cards. Definitely give Scott a follow at P1 Castle.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and good job. And I would appreciate, anything from everyone, right? Like, I've gotten a ton of messages, of support and stuff from folks. So really do appreciate that, each message, right? I was talking to some people, and they're like, "How you feeling?" I was like, honestly, I'm going back and forth between like despair and determination, right? Because it's like, oh my God, this just it's sick. It sinks. It really does. I'm trying to push the Formula One card hobby in general as much as I can, and having a larger account definitely helps get the word out and grow the presence even more, not only just with the algorithm but just like general reach, right? So it's going to take a little while to get there. I've had a ton of people already share. I really appreciate it. I mean, we're going to be up to 1,000 followers basically in like the first 2 weeks, which is great. And then just got to make up the other 4,000 or so, but we'll get there. We'll hashtag keep pushing, and we'll get back up there. We'll get back to P1, right? So yeah, but really appreciate it.
All right, very cool. So 42 minutes was a little bit of a longer episode. We had a lot to talk about. Like I said, we're back to racing next weekend, so hopefully both of our schedules calm down a little bit. We can get back to talking about.
Are we really next weekend? That's crazy. That's
the 23rd to the 25th. Yep.
Wow. It's funny because I remember when we had just had the last race, everyone, myself included, was like, "Oh my God, now it's me forever," Spa, and it was during National, and it was like, "Oh, it's gonna be so long until we have it." And then for me, I went on a cruise, I went to the mountains, and I'm back, and it's Fanatic Fest, and then it's a race. That's actually crazy. So happy for that. Also going to Singapore in a little over a month. So we'll have plenty to talk about in the next episode, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. Let's close this one up.
All right. Well, I may be the P1 Castle now, but we're still shutting down the show the same way, guys. So remember, collect your cardboard and keep it carbon.